Helps to unmute the microphone. That usually helps. Sorry about that. You've been thinking about leaving Text Expander? Also, thank you, Derek. Catching up on chat stuffs. How are we today? I think I got all the buttons hit and such here. Looks like it's doing well. Hi, team. Always have to say hi, team, right? Good catch, Blake. Oh, I've been having some fun lately. It's been quite a journey for Joe lately, between all the tool stuff, learning stuff, brand stuff, website stuff, house stuff, and now hardware stuff. Should we unbox this? I'm like itching to get this unboxed, and I think I have all the stuff I need to get going on the paramethod stuff. But the paramethod is one that I'm gonna talk a little more about whenever we get to that, of course. But I need to get this thing unboxed. It came in just like not even an hour ago, maybe 45 minutes ago. I'm bored. Yeah, I'm totally bored. Very bored. Bored all the things. Completely bored. That's what I do, right? No, I am not bored. I do have a cookie, though. I will do my best not to eat it on the microphone. So, I haven't even seen one of these unboxings yet. I have no idea what I'm getting whenever I look into this thing. But I think some of you have these, right? From what I understand, some of you do. Here's the thing. Before we get into this too much, could you hit that like button? Even if you don't like me. It helps me out a ton. I'm learning, because like Derek said, I've made my way to 100 subs, which is a little bit off of where I was on the other channel before I had to scratch it and move on. This is the new M1 Mac Mini that I don't know if I said it or not. I mentioned it on Twitter. But this is the new M1 Mac Mini. I am using it to replace, actually I'm using it right now, this iMac that I have over here. So it's going to replace that probably this afternoon is when I will actually do that cutover. Now that I did that, what's it going to do? Oh, it doesn't actually turn it loose. Oh, fun! It didn't actually tear it apart. I'm so glad I pulled that, because it did nothing. It still has a hold of it. You have an M1 MacBook Air. So yes, that's blown out and you can't see it. It says Mac Mini right there. Good job, camera. Wonder why that is. Weird. I have it set not to do that, but yeah, that is definitely blown out. There it is. You can see that now. It's super fast. Also, I love these boxes. It makes so much sense to me. I don't even understand how these things work. Oh. Fascinating. Okay. Easily entertained. Yes. So, here's the Mac Mini. This is going to replace the iMac that I have over here. I'll actually end up streaming from it for this, but it's not mine. It's the church's. I'm just allowed to use some of the church gear for stuff like this. So, yes. I'm making sure I got stuff posted. Oh, that's what I wanted to see. Okay. I gotta send a tweet. Also, gotta check the site, because I think it should be up. Yep, there it is. Okay. So the purpose of this Mac Mini is actually just because I found out I could get $760 for the iMac over here But with the church nonprofit discounts and all the stuff, I can get this for, what was it, $647, I think. It's just the base model. It's the 8 gig memory, 256 SSD. Very basic, but I don't care. I'm after the processor. I'm not after any storage and such. It really only has to do one thing at a time. So when it's working, it's doing some video editing. It's doing a stream. It's doing, I'll probably put, if you know what, the program ProPresenter on it, and it'll run a background feed of slides. It's a cheap computer that I can use just for some random things here and there. That's what it's for. And because I have access to it, I'll just use it for other stuff too. So anyway, thank you to all of you who have subscribed to the new channel here so far. I don't plan on changing it for any length of time at this point, and we'll start building more. I'm actually meeting with a couple folks to continue figuring out how to grow this even better. So we'll see. We'll see how this goes. Realizing that video is my thing. It's what I like doing. Can't say I'm good at it, but I like it nonetheless. I didn't bring a trash can over here. Can't do this sort of thing and not have a trash can over here. I like the feel of this. It's total classic Mac. Classic Apple, I should say. You ready for this? So let me tell you about my new channel. No, it's the one we're on right now. It's coming. Ooh, and of course, like that's a classic way to do that. I really got the lighting bad for this. I didn't even attempt to do it anywhere good for this. Where are all of the... Oh, they have them covered. It's like, where are all the ports? That was like part of the reason here. It's like I wanted all the ports. Oh, so good. So good. And a little bothersome at the same time. Okay. Before I get too far there. That's what I thought. Typical Apple. Now, did they bury anything down below here? They do that once in a while. Do they bury anything down in there? I'm guessing not. They really got that tight. Oh, they do bigger stickers now? When did they start doing this? Or maybe that's just on the... If my fingers would work. That's like a legit sticker. It's not normally that big. I like it though. This is always satisfying. I really didn't look at this too close online before I started doing this to even see what I was getting into. Okay, so here's the part that matters. Power, data, a couple Thunderbolt HDMI, and a couple USBs. And a headphone. All right, I can get on board with that. That's what I'll be doing when we're done with the stream here. Just playing around with that. Also, I know I do struggle with... Hope I'm not disappointed. I have one of these as well. I will be hooking this up to it. It's the CalDigit TS3 Plus. If I can get the camera on that. This is something that I know, like if you want even more ports, this is the way to do it. I know some people get into the OWC Thunderbolt 3 dock. That's not for me. I have seen those things have issues. The problem with these is that there is no HDMI out. It's a display port. And I know why they do that. It's because CalDigit thought this through. And with the new stuff here, there's an HDMI out, but I know that with the M1s, you can only do one display off of these Thunderbolt ports and then one off of the HDMI. So I'll be running the HDMI out into like my actual video gear, and then the Thunderbolt with the TS3 Plus dock will run the display that I'm going to put on the Mini itself. It's kind of a beast. I don't know that I've ever had a Mini, now that I say that. Cool. Solid machine. There you go. We're officially unboxed. I don't know what I'm going to do with it right away, but the easy thing is I'll be moving all the profiles off of that iMac to it. Cool, cool. Do I have to clean up my mess now? That's probably the fastest Mac Mini unboxing on the internet. Everybody takes their time. I'm like, oh, okay, ports, cool. Should we talk pair method? Okay, so here's the thing. Lots of things. Lots and lots of things. Let me get my head around this. So I have, for a long time, I've had a semi-organized way of keeping track of files. I'm going to get there, Blake. This is primarily about like file storage on your computer. Okay? And I have long had kind of my own way of doing that. And it works out well. It's just a process of creating a folder for all the things that are of interest to me. And I keep things inside of it. The big ones being like Analog Joe. One's called Joe Bulig, which is like my online presence type of thing. Bookworm is in there. Admin, all sorts of stuff. I'll show it to you here in a bit. I gotta stop eating cookies. And it kind of has become unwieldy. It's super long. Really hard to kind of get my head around. Sometimes just because it has grown too much. Okay? So I get tired of the long list. Another issue I've had with that system is if I am, like, take this stream, right? So I'm recording, which works out well. That recording, I generally hold on to and have been working with folks to figure out how to edit these things down correctly to where I could do like some YouTube clips and such out of it. So I'm working on that, and that will eventually become more of a thing. At least the way I've been working on it. That's what it's slowly working its way into. And as I'm doing that, I'm finding like it's kind of hard for me to find the work that I'm in the middle of. You get what I'm saying? Like it's too easy to have these projects in so many different places on my computer that it's easy to get lost on it. And I find myself trying to locate, where did I put that webinar recording? Which is weird for me to say because I feel like this is something that I should have nailed down. This should not be something I'm trying to figure out. This should be cookie cutter, straightforward. Joe should have this figured out. Hey, guess what? I don't. So it's hard for me to say that, but it's true. Also, last point here, these three pieces. Tired of the long list. Tired of trying to find things. And the third here is that I have slowly worked my way down into a very small subset of tools. Okay? When it comes to anything written, it's currently in text files. If it's video editing, it's in a DaVinci Resolve project. If I'm doing some audio work, I've been doing that in either Fairlight within Resolve. I'm trying to learn that versus Audition. and trying to keep it in those places, or it's in a terminal. Like, those are really the only places that I spend a lot of time. And I don't know if that's just because I'm a tech nerd, what that's all about, but that's where I've been living a lot. I know Resolve really shouldn't be free. That's my thought process. It's kind of intense how much you can do with Resolve, and I'm learning that more and more. So anyway, Resolve is something that's slowly becoming a big part of my workflow. It's taking me a while just because I don't know it that well. Not yet. Getting there. But I want all of these tools to be able to work together in some way. And it should be possible to do that. But my current system with all the folder structures just makes that a pain and difficult. So I spent a little bit of time working through, how do I explain this? I spent some time working through my folder structure, was trying to figure out how can I condense it at $5,000? Really? I feel like you're messing with me. I do. That's nuts, if that's true. All right. Goodbye, squirrel. The thing I spent time with was like, okay, here's this long list of folders and such that I have on my computer. And this is a fairly long list to work through. And I was trying to figure out how to get this to be easier to see and understand and find what I'm looking for without tons and tons of scrolling. And as I started like trying to find like bigger buckets to create like one more level of hierarchy, I realized that what I was slowly working my way towards was the para method. And that's fine. It's just not what I was expecting. So knowing, and I'm not an expert on the para method by any means, but I know about it, and I know that people either love it or hate it. It seems like people aren't really in the middle very often. But I put out a tweet on Saturday. Let me pull this up. All right, let's look at this. Okay, so this is the tweet I put out. This was on Saturday. Today's random afternoon project. Convert the left side to the right side. And if you look at this left side, it's long, right? All the way down to video. Actually, I think, yeah, there's a few more down below that. I actually couldn't fit it all in one screenshot. There's writing, YouTube, Zettelkasten, and Zoom, and a ZZ archive at the bottom of that. So it actually does get longer than that, which is fairly intense. But I wanted to take everything on that left column and convert it into what I have on the right column. And as I started the process of doing that, I discovered that I actually have that right column incorrect at the moment. So there's a lot there for sure. And it's new. Well, new is where I put this. So I took this part right here and I put it inside this. That way I could keep those two lists separate. So new is kind of a temporary thing, just so you're aware. Good catch though, Derek. That's a good find. Not everybody would see that. So that's what I've been working on. And it's because what I ended up doing is Tiago Forte, I put this, I've known about this for a while, but I went and looked this up in a legit research process and was trying to understand, okay, what was Forte trying to come up with? What is the overall system as he intends it? Because I know when people put these systems together, it's very, very common for people to take it and just kind of tweak and alter it, and then their perspective on it alters what everybody else thinks about it. Pardon me. And that's not what I really wanted. I wanted to understand it as he built it, as he designed it. This is very similar to what people see in the GTD method, because it's easy to get a lot of information about GTD. It is not easy to understand all the nuances and details with it, which is why you got to read the book. And I didn't read the book for a long time until eventually I did, and then it all clicked and it made more sense. That is the process I did not want to go through with the para method. Now, Tiago Forte does not have a book on this, but he does have this series of blog posts about it. That's what I wanted to go through. So that's what I did. I pulled this up on Saturday and started reading this. Now, para, projects, areas, resources, archives. That's what that stands for, as you can see here on the screen. So if you're new to it, Blake, that's where that comes from. The para method is fairly straightforward, okay? It has, I'm going to come back to these definitions. It has a flow that you're going to end up following, which is very similar, I think, to GTD. And if you read fortelabs.co for very long, you learn that Tiago is, he's a fan of GTD. And the way this all ends up working is projects are kind of your most active folders, like they're things that you're currently working on. Areas are like one subset below that. They're broader areas using basically the same definition that David Allen does in Getting Things Done. Resources or references are essentially like interests, is the term he'll use. Like it's a topic or theme that you're interested in, but it's not something that you're solely dedicated to. Like I am dedicated to being a husband. That is a role and an area of responsibility that I take on. Woodworking is not. It's a hobby. It's not it's a fun. It's not a necessary thing. Gardening would be the same. That would be a resource folder. Learning how to do things would be a resource. The thing that generally people will, and then I've done for a long time, is if things fit into the resource concept, it's something that could very easily be shared publicly without being an issue. If it's in an area of responsibility, it's probably sensitive somewhat. Now, they can move between them, and that's fine, but you got to be careful with that. Archive is just that. It's like cold storage. Things you want to hold on to, but you're not actually using currently. Now, what Tiago is doing with this, let's look through these definitions before I get into that. So, a project is a series of tasks linked to a goal with a deadline. There you go. Pretty straightforward, right? It's very similar to GTD in that it's a series of tasks, but he adds a couple aspects to that in that it has to be tied to a goal with a deadline, which is fine. I don't know that I'm going to use it at that level, but hey, if it floats your boat, go for it. So there's that. An area of responsibility. I just punched the desk. I did that last time too. Don't punch the desk. It's what we call painful. A sphere of activity with a standard to be maintained over time. Right? It could be your work. That could be your online presence. It could be a whole bunch of stuff. I know, I'm very violent. I'm not a violent person. I get quiet when I'm mad, which frustrates some people. What? Kristen, I just got your tweet. Could cost up to $800,000. Wow. And it's free. Cool. I like that it's free. A resource is a topic or theme of ongoing interest. An archive is inactive items from the other three categories. That's really all it is. Now, there are a lot of folks who get kind of bent out of shape over this system. and I I leave Twitter up. I generally have a few different things up at once, just because the more things I have going on at one time, the more focus I can generally get on the one thing I'm trying to talk about, even though I know I deviate from it from time to time. But like, even as I'm talking to you now, I know like what I have coming up next, and I've got an outline I'm following, so you're fine. If it's something that I think would actually be a legit diversion I shouldn't go on, I'll generally ignore it. I know I don't seem to do that very often, but I will. So he has this concept here. We spend our days completing tasks which are grouped naturally into projects which fall under areas. Can you hear me? Nope. Hello, hello, hello. There, did we get it? Well, that was fun. Okay. I did not punch the desk. I gotta get this computer thing swapped over when we're done here. Assuming we make it done here. It's being weird. And it needs to quit. Okay, let's try this again. Just had to do a refresh. I've had that computer do that a couple times. It will be running fine, and then it will just kill it. And I don't know what that is. So, that all said, when I'm done here, I'll be moving it over to the M1. We'll see if that does any better. So, what I was saying is, you know, whenever people see this para method and they're looking through all the different aspects to it, it can get to be a little bit overwhelming for folks. And I think it's because you kind of have to think differently with it. No Apple reference intended. It's something that I think is potentially helpful if you're willing to let it. And yet there are a number of folks that argue against it and say that it's too much structure and that it requires too much movement for folders and such. But a lot of the people who say that are the same people that I've heard promoting things like PKMs and digital gardening that require a lot of hands-on day-to-day work. And although that's fine, this is the same thing, just in your file organization. So as I was reading through this again on Saturday, it just occurred to me that if I were to adopt something like this, and we can talk about the details here, and I can kind of show what I'm thinking through. I'm not going to spend too long on this, because again, I do have a few more things to do today than I normally would have on a Monday. But these are some of the things that I'm playing around with and working on, and I'm going to talk about some of the tools I'm going to move this into, and some script stuff I'm already writing on it. But an areas list versus a project list, I mean, these are, if you're into GTD, this is all pretty straightforward. Areas versus projects is the same as if it was in GTD. References or resources is the same concept as well. It's kind of long-term pieces. Tiago's simply found a way to do all of this in a digital format. That's all. He does have How does this work? Let me make sure I am in the right spot. Yeah, this is all the stuff that doesn't work well. This is one of the pieces that I think is super interesting. And it's because what he has done is made a task management note system, file system that is all interconnected. And it's that interconnectedness piece, like that's what I really want to get to. That's the piece that I think would be super, super helpful. And it's one that I'm working towards. And I'll explain how I'm doing it here in a bit. Okay. 3 core principles, magic number 4, mirroring, that whole connectedness piece. And it's separating action work from non-action work. Anyway, do you follow this yet? I'm not here to really teach this, but again, it's something that I've been aware of for a long time. He's, of course, a big, at least at the time, he was a big Evernote fan. I don't know if he still is or not. Does anybody know the answer to that? Is Forte still a big Evernote fan? I mean, I know he's got these follow-ups, and he's got this whole thing on the flow of how things move from one on to the next, which is fine. You know, there's a lot that could go here. Let me take you to a tweet. So I posted that, and there were a number of you who were getting back to me on this, and it's led to some discussions that I think are a little bit helpful, kind of helpful here. And it's like, okay, differentiating between areas and reference, okay? Reference, resources. Which is it? What is the actual? Resource is what his is. Did I put it as reference in mine? Oh, I did when I took the screenshot, and then I changed it to resources. That's what it is. Trying to keep them in sync is a struggle, Kristen. He tried Roam, but he's still primarily Evernote. I've heard a lot of people talking about Evernote lately. Did they do a bunch of changes and edits? Releases or something? They must have done something, because I've seen them pop up more and more. You're trying to wrap your head around parts of it, Derek. The main thing is, like, it's purely a flow and management of folders. That's really it. I'll show you what I'm doing, and I think it'll make more sense whenever I get there. But the categories, well, here, let's do this. I'll come back to this. Let me show you what I'm currently working towards. And this is far from clean, okay? Because the part that matters is this. That's the paramethod process that I'm working on. And I know that's somewhat hard to see. I don't even know if I have a way to blow that up from here. No, not going to worry about it. So I've for a long time called my inbox my one box, one in box, because then it puts it at the top. I've done that for years. And then putting numbers at the beginning of them helps me keep them spread out. And then I put the 2 folders there, so 2 and 7. They're just lines. That's all they are. There's nothing in those. There's nothing, anything is ever supposed to go there. It's just a way to break apart the inbox from my main folders from, in this case, a support folder. And under projects, this is where I'm starting to build some things out. I have a couple projects here. If I were to expand that, you'll see these are actually some videos that I'm working on from a couple live streams, and I will make another one for today shortly, actually. And once I've done that, it will make, yes. Anyway, projects. That's where that stuff goes. I have a template folder set up for those video projects. More on that later. But again, that's under projects. Areas I've not set up yet. Because what I'm doing is I'm working through all of this backlog and trying to move it into these 4 places. And I thought it was going to be quick. And I discovered very, very fast in the process that it's not that quick. This will take a while. So it's going to take me a bit to get that in there. So breaking things apart into areas and resources. I must have something in resources. Oh yeah, GTD, basically just random stuff. And then notes I have in there. This is the notes folder that I have for Obsidian. So I have that under resources. I don't know that that's where it needs to be. I can probably move it, but that's where I'm currently putting it today. To me, it makes sense that it's a resource to be used, but it kind of breaks the whole this is public and could be shared at any time thing, because there's definitely stuff in there I can't share. So I don't know what I'm going to do with that. Archive, again, I've not done anything with it yet. Now, the one that's different here that deviates from Forte is support. This is primarily because there are a lot of programs like Adobe, Atem, what else is in here? Blackmagic Design for Resolve, Dropbox, Hook. Like these, some programs make their own folder and put them here. And I want to get them moved into this. So they're application support files is all that is. That's what I want those to be. But this para is right here, okay? Projects, areas, resources, archive. Now, if we were to bring that over into Obsidian, which actually I could just show you from here because it's the same thing. This is what is currently in Obsidian. That's what I would see there. This, I think, needs to change somewhat to fit that. Does Hook not force you to leave it in documents anymore? I don't know. I just assumed I could change it. Can I not change that? That's going to frustrate me if I can't change that. That's not something I wanted to hear. So anyway, I have an inbox, indexes, assets, a bin, templates, and then the main notes folder inside Obsidian. Templates could easily go under resources. The bin, I don't even remember what I have in there. Oh yeah, the Bible, dated files, sources. Looks like I've got some stuff I need to clean up there yet too. And this needs cleaned up. That's what I'm getting at. So this is very early on, and I feel like it's already kind of a mess. I don't know that this is something that I'm going to have as a clean deal in here. Let me find, I grabbed a starter kit that somebody put together. Let me open this up in Obsidian. But somebody put together a starter kit for Para in Obsidian. This is what it looks like. Now, I've not spent really any time with this, but I could see how, like, if you had this type of thing, it could work out pretty well. Projects, starter kits, Obsidian theme, things to look into. These are apparently his projects. Areas. Yeah, this is what I expected to see here. Sure. So he's working on blogs, working on his finance. Whoa, that's intense. A Day in the Life of My Supposedly Frugal Stomach by Mr. Money Mustache. So this must be a review of that. So these are areas that they're working on. Resources. Again, just blanket text files. Archives, old stuff. Black hole here, you're trapped now. Spiders, dusty old project. They don't actually have anything in it. Oh wait, do they? No, there's actually nothing in there, just folders. Anyway. Your stomach is not frugal. Sorry, Blake. So people do find ways to put Para into Obsidian. I don't know that this is the route I would go, though. I think this is potentially a bit much. The way that I have been doing like project level files inside of Obsidian is just to have a new note file, a new text file, and then tag it with project at the top. And then I can just do a search for the tags of project. And that's it. That's all I need to do. That's what I've played around with. I don't know if it'll hold or not. So that is kind of the background. Like, you would put that same folder structure both in your file system and in whatever tool you're using. And that is how you would kind of keep things aligned. It's fine. I just don't know if I'm going to get to that point. I got to see how far I want to go with it. I know that from a file organization system, I think it works out well. That's what I'm trying to get to. But let's come back to this tweet here. It's one that started off from Manuel. He struggles to differentiate between areas and reference. And I think this is one of the pain points that a lot of people have with it. And again, I'm still new to this, so I'm not probably the one that could tell you the details, but I do know that differentiating between like resource material, reference material, and areas of responsibility and projects, like that concept I've been doing for a long time because of GTD. And he points this out. So I told him, it's like, I've had this mindset, right, that I just explained. Life segments are things I work on, areas of responsibility, and things that are in reference are things I can make public without a problem. So it's just supporting material that helps me with projects or areas, but it's not specifically for a project or an area. Hugo chimed in, said the same, right? He still thought it was not clear. So there's that. And I asked him to expand it a bit because templates, in my mind, templates was the thing he was talking about. Where should those go? To me, they're in resources. You just create a folder for templates and they're used elsewhere for projects or areas. I would use them for projects. And Martin says that's how he's done it. And, you know, there's quite a conversation that has happened here. And to me, it's fascinating to see that like some people do struggle with like deciding what goes where. I don't think it really matters. And I don't know that I'm going to have a clean answer for this. Just that I know that what I have seen in the way that I've used this in the past, it generally resolves itself. If it's something you're using regularly and it helps you with your finances, it goes in the area finance. If it's something you pull out occasionally whenever you're doing a hobby, it's under reference. But it's not something you have to do or should do. Symlink it and hide it. Let me open up Hook. I gotta remember. I gotta find the hotkeys again. What are the hotkeys? Remind me, Kristen. Oh, there it is. Shift, Command Space, Preferences. Here we go. Let's see. Linking, hook context, notes, create new note files. So I would change that. Templates. Templates folder. I would definitely do that. But we're talking about like the main database file. Sync hook links in. Just occurred to me is like my license, I think, is expired. Yeah. Only by a couple days though. I gotta get hold of Luke. The one the one I've been using is a freebie license, so he told me to get a hold of him whenever it expires. It doesn't look like you can change this. Yeah, I don't think you can do anything with this, Kristen. I might be stuck with that. What is in that folder? Help documentation, hook files, notes, and templates. So the notes and templates thing you could put elsewhere. The hook files, though, I don't know. The sync section says a copy. Yeah, it's very much building a system, Blake. It's very much a... But I've run into that a lot. Like, yes, I am very adept at doing search, and I do that a ton. But when it comes to active work, and sometimes things bleed across, that gets to be messy and quickly. I'm still looking, Kristen, because I'm curious. Do they say anything about it on the forums? Confused new user. I should probably do it this way. Here we go. Help page has no special purpose UI. This is from a couple years ago, though. You can move the hook folder and create a symbolic link to its old home. But that wouldn't make it disappear. Oh, here. I hit show on the thing and it removed it. What's the deal with that? I lost the link, Kristen. It asked me if I wanted to hold it for review or hide it, or show it or hide it, and I showed it and it didn't show up. I still don't like Google's thing on that. I think that's, you know, if I was someone who had a lot of trolls in the chat, I could see how that would be very helpful. Me, on the other hand, kind of frustrating. Quit hook in various apps, move the hook folder, set up the symbolic links from the documents hook folder to its new location, relaunch hook in all your apps, enjoy. But I think that was maybe different. Wait, does the sim link scroll down? I didn't go down far enough, did I? A sim link doesn't show up in your list, though. It's like a hidden thing, right? Let me go to the bottom. Ah, so you can just hide it. I didn't know that was a thing. All right, so there's everything in there. And if we look, that's kind of organized weird to me. Yeah, it's right here. Okay. And the command was that. Yeah, that would be fine. But it's still there. Will it show up in the list? Oh, it did hide it. Yeah, that does work. You like the prompt? It's fish. I have like a custom thing in fish. That works. So I just ran that one. Okay, I'm definitely holding on to that, and I will do that for a number of things. But then it's there. Yeah, I use this all the time. Command Shift period, shows and hides, hidden folders. Okay, I'm off topic. Which is fine. Here's the thing I'm coming to though. I think the pair method is worth exploring. I think I'm gonna do the same thing like I'm doing with Alfred right now. Which, by the way, let's look at something quick. So last time we were talking about this blog and Slug thing. I figured this out with the help of, who was it? I gotta find it. Was it Derek? Derek, was that you? Yes, Derek. So Derek, if Derek is still here, Derek Jackson sent me a GitHub repo that had this process in it, and I had slowly been working my way into this as well. And this is just follow-up from last time. This is what I landed on, Derek, because I haven't published this yet because I'm still working out some tweaks on this type of thing. But if you remember, I was trying to run this YAML slug to where it would take a bank of text and make it into a URL slug. Basically, it's replacing spaces with dashes and getting rid of all the punctuation and extra characters and such. And that's all it does. But I have cases where I want to run that from other workflows as well. So this is the slug process. This is where the actual code is. But there's two ways that this can run. Okay, one is if I type in this yaml.slug snippet, and then it will set the variables here. Okay, tell me it's a source from a snippet, which I think was part of what Derek came up with. And then if it goes through there, then it's setting the slug as whatever comes out of that script. And then depending on if that variable of the source is snippet, it will copy it to the clipboard, or if it's not from the snippet, it calls an external trigger here. This is important when we get to YAML blog. So whenever I run YAML.blog, it does something. It does this. It sets the argument for the title in the clipboard here, because that's the thing that I've copied that I'm making into a slug. And then it calls this external trigger for slug, which is actually right here. And then it runs the exact same thing, but it's not setting that variable. Long story short, at the end of this one, because that variable for source is not set, instead of going to the clipboard, it calls the external trigger for blog, which comes back right here. And then it copies that to the clipboard as well. Now, I figured out, because I have a handful of these, like one's for a blog, one's for an Analog Joe post, one's for a Bookworm post. I have a handful of these that I need to replicate, and they all use this text. And that's fine, because what I'll do is I will have some form of an input that comes into this and have this go back to those other places later. So it will get more complicated than this. But anyway, the problem has been solved. And I credit Derek. Derek did a good job. Great fun. There we go, team. I need to go. I know we're a little bit shy of an hour here, but life happens sometimes. partially because I don't want that thing to crash, and I need to get this computer set up because I got to do some fairly heavy scale testing tomorrow if I'm going to get anywhere near where I need to be with this thing. It's bigger than I thought it would be. I didn't expect it to be large. In my head, it's like the size of an Apple TV, but it's not. Welcome, Blake. Nice. Oh, fun times. All right. Let's see. What's the schedule this week? What is it? We have Wednesday, Analog Joe office hours at 1 o'clock. Also, Wednesday nights, if you're in the area, my daughter is mutton busting. My 6-year-old decided she wants to ride a sheep in the rodeo. So we'll be at the rodeo Wednesday night, and Rose will be attempting to stay on a sheep as long as she can. It'll be fun. Fun. So anyway, 1 o'clock on Wednesday, we'll do some office hours, just completely wide open, no topic at all for Wednesday. We can do digital or analog stuff. It's great fun. That's what we've got this week. And let's see, Friday is wide open, so I won't be doing anything then. Yes. And a week from today, there will not be a stream because that's the day we're closing on our house. And I'm going to be busy that day. So no stream next week. Definitely some cake time. Happy birthday, Blake. Your birthday is today? Oh, yeah. The way you're saying that. Yes. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Blakey. Happy birthday to you. I didn't know I'd be singing on stream today. Yes, so Wednesday we'll do office hours. If I had a pie, I'd throw it in Blake's face, just because that's what weird people do. And yeah, that'll be this week's schedule. Fun. Cool. All right. Thanks everybody who's joined today. I won't catch you next week, but hopefully I'll catch you Wednesday.